I don't know about that. You probably have to unmute that to show.
Are you there?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Unmute it. I mean, you click there. Oh, there you are. Yeah.
How's everything at City Hall?
Today? Nice to get some sun over the weekend. I thought you were Emily.
Good morning.
Morning.
Hi,
Morning.
how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
One second. I'm back.
Anne Marie, is that you? It says your name is iPhone?
No.
Because Anne Marie
Oh, that's me, probably Laura, Sarah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, let me rename you. Thank you. Right in my email. I'm just gonna have to check my email.
We're just gonna wait a few more minutes. It looks like Anne Marie's trying to get in.
Okay.
Hi, Dave.
They're here.
Oh, good.
Good morning.
Okay. I don't see my, good morning. I don't see my, do you guys see me in the video feed?
We do.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Maybe I just don't. Oh, here, let me see. Ah, there I am. All righty. We waiting for a few more people?
I think Ann Murrow is in. She just doesn't have her video on and doesn't have her audio on.
Okay.
Okay, and that should be it, right?
There she is.
Kristen is coming late, and Sarah has to leave early.
Yeah, I have a little pressure on the end of the meeting myself, but not at 11, more like 11:30. So hopefully we can just zoom through.
Right.
And we have our planning manager.
You in the zooming mood, Dave?
Right, right. I am.
Good.
Good to see you all.
Yes.
Happy New Year.
Yeah.
2021.
Who would have thought we'd be doing this way again?
I know. How does it look, Laura? Does it look like, and Jessica, does it look like we'll be back in person next time or not yet?
Yes, unless something new happens. That's the plan.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, that sounds great. Good. All right, I guess we're ready. Okay. The January 3rd, 31st, 2022 regular meeting, the Cherry Hills Village Art Commission will now come to order at 10:05. We'll have the, will the clerk please call the roll?
Co-chair Schmidt,
Here?
co-chair Hall,
Here.
Commissioner Morrow. Anne Marie, can you unmute, please? Okay. Commissioner Anderson,
Here.
Commissioner Pattison,
Here.
Commissioner Smith,
Here.
and Commissioner Moore is not with us yet. And am I missing somebody? Nope, that's it. We're good.
Okay. No one else in the audience, but we do have next up, I think, Planning Manager Paul Workman. And I think you're going to give us a presentation on the master plan.
I will.
Regarding the Arts Commission. Did we hear that?
Yep.
All right, can you all see my screen for the presentation?
Yes.
Okay. Well, first off, good morning. Happy Monday.
Good morning.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to share some information with you all. Just before we get started here, this is really informal, so don't feel like you have to wait till the end if you have questions or anything like that. Please feel free to jump in as we go, okay?
Paul, if we can interrupt real quick, we cannot see your screen.
Yeah,
I can't either.
I'm making you a co-host, Paul, in case that helps.
Okay.
there we go.
There we go.
Sorry about that.
So like I was saying, it's pretty informal. So feel free to ask questions as they come up. Don't feel like you have to wait till the end. Just a little bit about me. I've been with the village for about 1.5 years now. Before that, I was senior planner overseeing development review in the town of Parker. I was there for about 3.5 years doing that. And prior to that, I worked for Commerce City as a planner. I was there for, I forget, 9 or 10 years. And this effort, this master plan update is really exciting. You don't get to do a whole lot of these in your career in my profession. And so the opportunity to do one here was tremendously exciting, and one of the reasons why I wanted to come here and do this. Obviously, it's been a little bit challenging with COVID, and the project originally started back in 2020 before the pandemic set in, and we had to put the project on hold. And then finally, the end of last year, council gave us the green light to start expending funds on this again. So, so we're excited to have this back going. For those of you that may not know, the master plan is an overarching document the city uses for a variety of things, everything from land use decisions to capital improvement projects to you name it. It really is kind of a roadmap. And it's a policy document. It's not a regulatory document, but it helps informs regulations like our zoning ordinance or our subdivision regulations and that kind of stuff. And so the last update to the master plan was done in 2008. And so we like to update those plans around every 10 years. And so we're consistent with that. As you can imagine, this is a pretty heavy lift. And so the city has a consultant that we've hired, and their Rick Engineering and Design is their planning arm of their firm. But Britt Palmberg, the second from the left there, has been our primary point of contact. But they have a really good team that's been helping us. They have an office here, I think it's in Greenwood Village, and then they also have an office in San Diego. And so they've got a lot of good folks on their team, and we've been really, really pleased to have them. As part of the consultant process, Rick Engineering also has a sub-consultant that is Felsberg, Holt, and Uvelig, FHU for short. They primarily focus on transportation related issues. And so Elliot Solsky with them, he's done a lot of work in and around the village. He's done a lot of work with some surrounding jurisdictions like Arapahoe County, Greenwood Village, and Inglewood. And so he's just really knowledgeable about this area, and he's been a great resource as well. So as I mentioned, the project actually kicked off back in 2020 before the pandemic. A lot of the kind of what I would call background work was done, where there was some initial stakeholder meetings, some initial community assessment, right, kind of where we're at today. And then we got to a point where it was really time to get some public input on the process. And that was going to be really difficult with the pandemic, because we wanted to make sure that we had opportunities for in-person community meetings. And so, like I said, the project was put on hold. It was picked up late last year. We've gone through one round of community input through an open house, as well as most of you probably received the survey. That survey, well, let me take a step back for just a second. So per the city's charter, the Planning and Zoning Commission is charged with the oversight and the update to the city's master plan. And so they're the primary board that's leading this effort, and they drafted those survey questions and sent those out. And so the Planning and Zoning Commission is a real driver in a lot of this. And we've been meeting with them periodically. It's now turned into more of a monthly study session with them. Those are available on the city's YouTube page. If you want to go back and look at those, they're available to stream. Moving forward, though, we're getting to a point where that initial community outreach is done, and we think we've heard some things. We know we need some more input on things, and so we're gearing up for a second round of community input, probably sometime this spring. I'll get into that here in just a moment. But the project is scheduled, barring some change in COVID situation, is scheduled to conclude at some point in the fall of this year. So on the left-hand side of this screen, you'll see the current version of the master plan doesn't really talk in terms of chapters. It has more kind of just areas of topics or areas for discussion. And that's what is laid out on the left there. The two that are highlighted in red and crossed out, those are probably areas that were discussed in their own right in 2008 in the existing master plan. But a lot of those goals or things that were intended to be accomplished related to those have been completed. Right, the village center largely talked about the existing the village center that we have here today with the park and the two facilities. And so a lot of those have been done. And so there'll probably be some discussion related to those within the chapters on the right-hand side, but they probably don't warrant a chapter of their own. And then we generally have the green light from Planning and Zoning Commission related to the chapters that are in the right-hand column there. These are pretty common chapters or topics for a community of this size to discuss in this master plan update. And so this is likely, I mean, there'll probably be some tweaking here and there, but this is likely probably where Planning and Zoning Commission will land in terms of the overall chapters. So as I mentioned, late in the fall, we did have our first round of community input. The survey that I referenced, that opened on September 29th. That was available both online on our project website, which you're welcome to visit, chvillagevision.com. And it closed on November 30th. So we had almost 2 months of the survey. We also mailed, Jessica and Laura can attest, we had a team folding and envelope stuffing a couple days. We mailed out a survey to every property owner in the village. And the combined online and hard copy, I'll call it, version of the survey, we returned, there were 460, over 460 survey results, which we were actually thrilled with. You never know what kind of response you'll get when you do these. And we were really pleased with not only the responses we received in terms of yes, no, or 1, 2, 3, or 1 through 5, but a lot of folks took time to respond in writing to those questions. And that's really a lot of the meat of what we're chewing on, what we, the consultant and our staff and Planning and Zoning Commission, as we move forward in terms of what do we think we heard about different topics, and what do we think we need more input from the public, or what do we need more targeted questions on. We also had an open house in September of last year, and that's where a lot of these photos came from, and it was great to get to talk to folks and get kind of that personal interaction. Additionally, per the direction of Planning and Zoning Commission, we have a citizen advisory task force. They met twice last year and once last week, 2 weeks ago, to discuss. They're really more of a sounding board for the Planning and Zoning Commission. It's generally comprised of residents of the village. There's a couple former mayors on that committee, several former members of council, and folks that have been involved in the community for a long time and have a lot of historical knowledge of the village. And it's been a really great body, and they've had a lot of good deliberation and discussion. And all but one of our Planning and Zoning Commission members is also on that task force. And so they get to hear it straight from the horse's mouth, if you will, about how this task force views different topics or what they feel is important and things like that. Former Councilman Scott Roswell is the chair of that committee, and he's been great to deal with. And then we also have a technical advisory group, which is largely property owners in the village that aren't residents. So think of the schools, the country clubs, the churches, the fire districts on that, several of the water districts. So it's folks that are certainly stakeholders in the community, but don't necessarily reside in the community. And we met with them back in December, and we had a good discussion with them. And I'm generalizing here, but the feedback we got from them is we like the village the way that it is, and we're glad to be a part of the community, and let's keep things the way they are. And you'll hear that as a recurring theme from me. If I had to summarize the survey and the community input to date in a short phrase, it's virtually been, we like the village the way that it is. We don't want to make wholesale changes, which that's sort of what I expected as we went into this effort. So now, if you recall, Brett, I had the previous slide that had the different topics or chapters on the right-hand side of the screen that we'll have for the 2022 plan. I'm going to go through those and just sort of discuss a little bit about some interesting takeaways that we as staff have had and our consultant has had, as well as some background information that we've talked with Planning and Zoning Commission about as well. So for community character, again, I'm not going to go through each of these slides and read them for you, but I will touch on some things that I think may be interesting as it relates to the Art Commission. But if you have other ones, please, again, feel free to ask questions or jump in. One thing that really stood out is the community really appreciates the current character of the village, where it's quiet and there's lots of open space and trails and trees. Interestingly, and I don't want to unfairly characterize it as some sort of majority or even a large minority, but there was some feedback in the survey about having mega mansions and folks kind of walling themselves off and not truly becoming a part of the community. And so again, it was just something interesting that we noticed, we being our staff and the consultant at Planning and Zoning Commission. I don't think that is necessarily going to go anywhere, but it was interesting to us. Another thing that was important is undergrounding utilities and the dark skies that are in the village. And then I've intentionally left the last one. There is certainly a lot of support for public art in the village. There was a lot of responses that folks like having art in the village, although it can be subjective. But when asked to prioritize it, it was not as important as things like parks, trails, PD services, some things like that. So folks like it, and they definitely see the value added throughout the community, but it's not as high a priority for most as I mentioned for some other things, specifically the open space and parks and trails and that kind of stuff. Land use, we asked some questions related to land use and potentially alternative housing types and things of that nature. The response we received was overwhelmingly, we want to keep it single family detached. We like the one home on one lot, and we the community want to keep it that way. And so at our next open house, this questions related to this will probably be more affirmational than more information gathering. We're pretty sure we heard this. Let's just confirm it, if you will. Transportation, this is a topic we believe we need more information on. I will say that through the discussions with our CAT and with the feedback in the survey results, there's kind of been this theme of low and slow. What does that mean? I think is one of the things we're going to have to get into in our next round of public input. But we also heard lots of concerns related to the different types of transportation, whether you're on the Highline Canal or on other trails, is the, I guess I'll call it conflict for lack of a better term, but between not only like pedestrians and bicyclists, but for those that are walking versus those that are running, those that are cycling for what I would call pleasure, cycling for, you know, commuting purposes. So there's there's these different types of transportation, but also different types within those types. And what do we do about that? How do we help, you know, lessen those conflicts? And I don't know that there's a lot of great answers out there for us right now. Again, this is one of those topics that we know we're going to need more information on during this next round of public input. Parks, trails, and open space. The second bullet there is largely what we've heard related to this is don't fix what's not broken. Folks like the trails and the open space and things like that. Are there opportunities to improve connections? Are there opportunities to potentially make trails and connections and things like that safer? Absolutely, but generally folks like what we have, and how do we enhance rather than change what we have? As it relates to infrastructure and facilities, there is some interest out there about using or working with, I'm sure you all are aware of the Highline Conservancy and the great work they're doing. There is some interest in potentially using the Highline Canal for some stormwater or water quality. But there's one thing that was, again, an interesting response is largely the community didn't want to see additional kind of what you would consider traditional community facilities, i.e. a senior center or a rec center or a pool or things like that. My suspicion, and that's all it is that a lot of that stuff is already on folks' private property, right, with the tennis courts they have and the swimming pools they have. And so to have a community facility like that's probably just not what a lot of folks see in the future of the village.
Hey, Paul.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
would add to that there are some very popular clubs,
Yes.
right, that people belong to, whether they're in Cherry Hills Village or they're in Greenwood Village. So that might be part of the reason as well.
I think you're exactly right. I think, you know, the amenities that you can have at whether it's Glenmore or Arapahoe Tennis Club or Cherry Hills Country Club or the name of it's escaping me, but the
Greenwood Athletic Club, maybe.
Yes, thank you. There is access to a lot of that kind of private stuff already, and I think you're exactly right. I think that contributes to that response. So the last one that is kind of had kind of an organic component to it, not to make a horrible pun, but it wasn't necessarily something that we had identified early in the process as potentially having its own chapter. Certainly we anticipated sustainability being sprinkled throughout the different chapters, but what we heard is there's enough interest from the community to really have its own chapter. Now, the real question is, what does that look and feel like here in the village, right? There's some communities out there that do carbon footprint analysis and emissions tests and right, that kind of stuff. And I don't think we're there, but there was a lot of support for things like water conservation and composting and recycling. And so, right, how do we either facilitate that or help that through private operations or incentivizing certain things like building permits for solar panels or things like that. So again, this is one of those, we know we're going to need more input from the public in the next round. And so we're looking forward to that. But definitely there was a lot of support for some level of sustainability and acknowledgement of that as we move forward. Our next steps in this process is we have a study session with our Planning and Zoning Commission next week on the 8th. That will be a continued conversation on some survey results. We've started at the very highest level discussing an overall vision statement for the plan. What I will tell you is based on the feedback we've heard, the overall vision, the overall vision statement in the document is just going to be a revision to the existing vision statement in the document, which is appropriate. Again, what we've heard is we're not a community that's interested in wholesale under 180-degree changes, that we are a community that's interested in enhancing and making the great place we already have better. And so there'll probably be some recommendations on the periphery of some things related to parks and trails and transportation, but we're not talking massive changes in things like land use, right? We're not going to all of a sudden adopt a zoning district that allows for multifamily or something like that. So we started having that conversation with Planning and Zoning Commission, and they're very supportive of our approach of having the overall vision statement be more of a refinement of the existing vision statement. And then we've talked a little bit high level about some guiding principles for each of those chapters. And those guiding principles, along with some additional questions, are going to be the bulk of this next round of public outreach. And so that's what we're trying to work through and get direction from Planning and Zoning Commission on. And there's still a small sliver of hope that would happen in late February, but it's unlikely that that's going to happen. It'll probably be sometime early in March before the spring break season. So put that on your radar, and those dates will be made public as soon as we have them. We'll notify that in the crier in the fall. You may have seen some signs around town. We'll do that again. So we'll do a social media effort for that as well. And so, keep your eye out for that. Again, probably not till early March, but we definitely will publicize that once we know what that is. And that's it. And I intentionally kind of went through that pretty fast so that there would be plenty of time if you all had questions for me. And so please, I welcome any questions. The other thing I would offer is that, if you're interested, I'm not saying that you have to, but if you're interested, I'd be more than happy to do another update as we get further along in the process, whether it's after the second round of public input or things like that. This is actually part of the job that I enjoy. And so if you're interested, I'd be more than happy to do that. Just either coordinate with Jessica or Laura or reach out to me and we can get that going. But again, I'm interested in answering whatever questions you might have.
Oh, I really appreciate this, and I would look forward to an update. But I'm just curious, what has been happening on the north side of Quincy between Happy Canyon and about Dahlia? So
they are going through an effort to underground some of the power lines that are over there.
okay,
And it's just been really slow going because there's a lot of utilities in that corridor, and Excel's having a hard time trying to find a path. And so it's just been really slow, but they're undergrounding those power lines that are there.
okay, that's great. I applaud that. I look forward to the fact that that could happen in a lot of other places in the village. So
And
thank you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And just to that point, that was probably one of the top 2 or 3 things that people responded with is they would love to get all of the overhead lines in Cherry Hills Village underground.
Dark sky is great too. So
Yes. Now I will say the interesting component of that is, right, none of these things are in a vacuum. And so some of the questions we're asking moving forward is this, the city has historically had these dark sky regulations and most folks love it. But another thing that we heard through the survey is, right, is safety in the village is paramount to residents, which is absolutely true, right? If you're not safe, what does the rest of it matter? But is there a perception from folks that the dark sky regulation somehow would potentially compromise a feeling or a reality of safety? And so those are the kinds of things we're starting to piece together and asking folks, how do you feel about this stuff?
Great. I just don't think a lot of people really understand the impact of the choices that they could make as far as lighting and
I
just.
agree with you.
Do we know, regarding the public art question, do we know how many people responded to that?
I do. So I'm gonna do some rough math here. So not quite 400 responded. 60% were in favor of it, 30% were not, and 10% were, I need more information.
That's still.
So again, there's definitely support for public art in the village. I don't want to paint the picture that there's not, but I also want to be honest with you and tell you that yes, people like the public art and they would like to have more of it or see it rotate out or whatever their position was. But when asked to compare it with things like parks or trails or open space or things like that, it was not as high as some of those other things.
Well, is it a legitimate request that we could look at the responses as regards the arts?
Absolutely, it's on our website, and
We could see the individual responses.
Yeah, I think Laura sent them around, didn't you, Laura? Because I've read a lot of them myself.
Yeah,
I emailed that part of the survey out. I can do that again.
yeah, I read it too.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry, I
This
didn't.
is all on our website, and this is the raw responses to, and it's question 6, starts on page 49 of that, and yeah, you can read all the different responses.
That would be helpful.
Yeah, and I would note that sometimes when there was some ambivalence, there was concern that it was costing a lot of tax dollars. So they didn't know,
Right.
just from the general question, the little, very small budget that we get. And some people did say, well, it's fine as long as it doesn't cost any tax dollars. So, it was a general question. So the answers actually were no surprise to me. As well as the priorities, because that's understandable.
Well, it'll be helpful for us to be able to communicate better with them.
Yeah, and this information and more information, again, if you're interested, there's a separate project website, chvillagevision.com. And that has a lot of good information on it as well. And then on the city's website, on our master plan page, there's a link to our project website. And then this is the link that I was using for the individual feedback, literally everything we received. So the document's fairly large at over 200 pages, but that's okay. But it's got some other stuff in here, like a link to the existing master plan and some of that kind of stuff. And I guess while I'm here, I'll just show you. So the current, this is the current vision statement. And again, right, it's desire, blah, blah, blah. So we're really talking about just tweaks to this, not an overhaul of the language. And right, anytime a community does this type of plan, they really have, well, I guess they have 3 different options. It's a grade, right? Either they're wrestling with major challenges and they want to redirect a division. And so they truly are rewriting the entire document. And sometimes more like this community, there's, it's a really good place and there's not a need for these wholesale changes. So it really is updating what is in that plan so that it doesn't get old and stale and unusable. And the effort we're going through now is more on the latter, where it really is an update to the existing language and the existing vision. And again, it's been what, 14 years since the last time it was updated. And so it's just time to brush it up and bring it current. So that's really.
I have a question. Because I read the comments as well, and the big takeaway was that they didn't want taxpayer dollars paying for the art. What does taxpayers money pay or contribute to our funds? I know there's 1%, but I just didn't know the answer to if there's other money that comes out.
To the
I'll
art
let
commission's
Jessica answer
actual
that.
line item?
Sorry, I think I talked over you, Jessica.
Oh, no, we're just trying to get clarification to the art commission's budget.
Yeah, and to purchasing art. Yeah.
So the art commission gets, well, for the 2022 approved budget, city council approved $31,000. So technically that would be taxpayer dollars because it's coming from city funds. So the art donation account that you use to raise funds for other sculptures, that's obviously not taxpayer dollars because those are donated funds. So it's separate, but the line item that you have in the budget for the approved 2022 budget is $31,000.
Does that come?
Oh, can I just clarify 1 second, Della? And
Sure.
that 31,000 contains a special $10,000 that they gave us for a permanent sculpture into the John Mead Park. So normally our budget is like 21,000.
21.
And the 1% that you referred to was only in connection with the construction of the village center. We did get 1% of the construction budget specifically for the purchase of the Gusto piece that's in front of the village hall. So we
Yeah.
really do just have that 21,000 from taxpayer dollars. And then as Jessica said, when you look at our financials at the end of this packet or any packet, you'll see that we also have an art donation account. So when
Yeah.
we do our events and stuff, that money goes into the art donation account and it supplements our regular budget.
Okay. So to Anne Marie's point earlier, how can we communicate that just a very small percentage of taxpayer money goes to the art, or do we communicate that at all?
I think it makes us aware of how we need to communicate with them when we present something new. Maybe, I'm not sure that makes sense to you, but it's just helpful to know what they're thinking
I agree.
and try
But
to
also,
counter that.
When I met with the Parks and Rec, even those members, those commissioners seemed to think it was like an either or situation, that we were taking money away from their budget that they could have used. And really, we have our own budget and it's not an either or situation. So, I mean, letting them know first would probably be a first step. And
That
then
needs to be corrected.
Yeah, and I would also like to add that I think there was an impression, or at least I got the impression, that people thought that our funding, or they don't know where our funding is, what our funding is, and that it maybe only goes to purchasing art. And I think that we have all spoken many times of trying to, the things that we do for the community related to the arts. So it's not just a fund to purchase art only.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You think we could somehow add that to an article in the Crier to get it out to more people?
That would be good.
No?
Yeah, I would say that, I don't remember whose suggestion it was, but somebody suggested in our last meeting that we keep printing a little something about the art show. And so when I looked at the Crier this time, we had something about the art show, which is continuing, and also the relocation of the cruise series. So I don't know how many people in the village actually read the Crier like I do, but I thought we had a good presence in the Crier. Like I thought that was quite good. Oh, look, there's an ongoing art show that we can visit. Oh, look, there's something about some village sculpture. So I just don't know in this day and age how many people read print, or do people look at it a lot online? Because I know there's an online version of the Crier, or if maybe that's also something for this potential expansion of our social media to try and reach maybe the younger folks in the village who are very much Instagram oriented or whatever.
Yes, all of the above, I think, for sure.
But I do feel it's the nature of COVID right now that they haven't seen us doing fundraisers and, larger events. So they feel like they're not seeing us generate money on our own. So I feel like that it's going to get better, that they'll see that there are fundraising efforts and that we'll be out in the community doing things with the kids and such.
Right, that's my goal, doing something more family and kid oriented so that people see like the value that we add to families as well.
Yeah.
Yep. I agree. Any other questions for fall or?
And just one more little thing about the either or. That's spot on, because a lot of those comments said I would much rather, and also to the point of prioritizing, having underground wires it's so much more important than the art. And I understood, I got that, but it's two different, it's different budgets, and that's what people I don't think understand.
And our budget's small.
Yes.
So they should know, listen, this is a small add to the community.
Yes.
Cultural add to the community. It's really the amount of money that is required to underground wires and all this stuff is a completely different scale. Like we are a tiny little drop.
Yep.
And the underground wires are subsidized by the electric company, correct?
That too. I'm sure, right? We're not
It is,
put
yes.
that bill entirely. Also, we probably maybe we're getting some COVID infrastructure funds or who knows.
Paul, can you answer that? Do the energy companies have some finance with underground wires?
I will answer what I know about that. It looked like Emily, you were getting ready to say something, or no? Okay. I didn't want to cut you off.
Jessica.
Yes, Excel has a 1% fund. So every time the taxpayers of Cherry Hills Village pay their Excel bill, Excel saves a 1% fund. So the undergrounding that we've been doing along Quincy has been using those funds, the Excel 1% funds. And it was just over $1 million. So it takes some time once we undertake something like that to build that account back up. So it's possible we might not be able to do something like that, quite that nature along Quincy like we're doing right now for a while until that account gets built back up, unless we use actual city funds. But right now we're using the 1% fund from Excel.
And that's what I was going to say is a community, if they want to pay for it, they can do it at any time. But the 1% is generally the direction communities go for, because then you don't have to take it out of your general fund for that year or 2 years or whatever. So yes, they do contribute, but to Jessica's point, depending on the scope and scale of what is being done, it can take a while to build up that war chest, if you will, to pay for it.
How did the crew relocation turn out?
We have that on the agenda for an update. Council did approve that, so that we're working on that actual relocation, getting that scheduled now.
I mean, amongst us, commissioners, maybe we need to put out some kind of open letter to the community about what our game plan is. Because I think some of the people that are negative about our art, they feel like it's just popping up and they don't know, is this going to happen every month? They really don't know what our time frame is. And really, the only thing that we have is that we're trying to, raise money for the permanent sculpture need. So we could at least tell them that, we're not going to have obscure art popping up every month, that the funds are going towards a larger goal.
Yeah.
I think we need to be very open.
Yes.
I think, if we get an Instagram going or some other form of social media, I think even just having daily updates, letting them know what's happening, I think that kind of, calms people's minds a little bit in relation to what's popping up and kind of when they're aware of what's happening in the process.
I think you're right. Definitely more electronic version than a printed version for sure.
Where are we on Instagram? Are we?
I haven't had a chance to look into it yet. We've been a little busy.
Yep. Okay.
We need to draw straws. Who's gonna-
Also, maybe we should wrap up with Paul, so
Right.
before we go on to all the other subjects.
Okay.
Do we have anything else for Paul?
Really appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Yeah.
So enlightening.
Thank
Like I
you,
said,
Paul.
this is the fun part of my job. So if you all are interested, let me or
Yes.
Jessica or Laura know, and I can give you another update once we kind of get through some next set of milestones.
Please.
That would be
Thank
great.
you.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank
Well,
you,
thank you
Paul.
all. Enjoy the rest of your
Appreciate
meeting.
it.
Have a good
Thank
day.
you. All right. Well, 60% isn't too bad. It could have been worse, I guess.
Yes.
That's hopeful.
Right. Okay, I guess moving on, we've got, I guess, the consent agenda, huh? Our next order of business is the consent agenda. Does anyone wish to add or remove anything from the agenda?
No.
No?
No.
Okay, hearing none, do we have a motion to approve?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Have a second? Okay. All right,
And then Dave, since it's on Zoom, I'll just do a roll call real quick.
okay,
So we see everybody's vote. Co-Chair Schmidt,
yes,
Co-Chair Hall,
Yes.
Commissioner Morrow,
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Pattison,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
okay. Motion passes. Let's see, I guess the next thing is, guess that brings us to unfinished business. So now this is where the first item on there is the relocation of the crew series. So I think that I know it was approved by city council. So what's the next step, Laura? Are we setting a date for that?
Yeah, Kendall is working with our parks crew to determine a date. It will be weather dependent, which we haven't been having a lot of luck with the last couple weeks. So we are working on getting that scheduled. So a date that when Emmett can come down and help actually place them.
And the artist will be present to do that. Yeah.
Yes, that's the plan.
Good.
Okay. So anything more on that? Nothing, I guess that pretty much catches us up. Okay. I guess the next item is the Robert Mangold write-up.
Yeah, so Kendall
And,
sent this write-up, and along with this photo of Bob Mangold with one of the wind songs.
Uh-huh.
And I guess the idea is to sort of turn it into kind of a pamphlet type thing to post on the website. I'm not exactly sure what the commission wants us to do.
Yeah, I think we were just gonna put it on the website. I don't know that we were gonna do, did you mean like a printed pamphlet?
I don't know,
Yeah.
whatever y'all want to do.
I think just on the website.
Yeah.
Yeah, the website.
Yeah.
Just like this, just page 1, page 2, or
I didn't see any changes in it.
Yeah,
Or
In the
maybe,
writing.
yeah.
But I think it could be, made more to look sort of like a pamphlet on the website rather than a
Yeah,
little
like
more.
maybe we could lead with a
Like-
photo and reduce it and then have the information after it, so it's more attractive.
Yeah.
do the
Uh-huh.
photo first. Okay.
And yeah, not so big.
Yeah. Just like, yeah, like little in the corner and then kind of the text around it.
I like that photo of him.
Yeah,
It's great. Actually, you know, it would be nice maybe if we can put that photo of him and then the photo of our wind song at the top,
Okay.
and then the information.
Okay.
A much younger photo of Robert.
Yeah,
Which
Very
is-
handsome.
Yeah, he was. He's a great guy for sure. Yes.
Yeah.
I have a question about Windsong. You know, I noticed we've talked about this, but it's fading.
It's fading. Yeah.
It's fading.
And I've seen pieces downtown of his that are super faded. Yeah.
What do we do?
I believe we let Kendall know, and she was maybe gonna tell Reverend, but there's not much that we can do about it,
Yeah.
since it's just on loan for another year and a half.
Yeah, because if they take it out, like if they take it down to do something with it, that's going to affect our loan period.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, for
You
sure.
know what I mean? Like if there's restoration to be done. So we
It's not
probably,
not an easy fix. Right?
oh,
Is it fading that rapidly?
I think so.
Really, I hadn't really noticed, but you know, he's a master with color, so it's not going to be an easy fix. And certainly, I don't know who would even do that at his age. But
I know. Because it
yeah, that
started
would be a
with,
revenue.
yeah, it started with like the green.
Do that.
It started with the green and now, or the blue, I think the green, but now it's the whole, I just, every time I go by, it's more faded.
Interesting.
wow,
And it's
yeah,
unfortunate because when you read the description that Kendall did, the
Right.
concept was to see the color wheel in a certain way.
right.
And clearly that's going to be affected by the fading, but I don't really see what we can do about it, to be honest.
I mean, I wonder if there's any sort of UV protective spray that you could do it while it's still installed, or, you know, I don't know.
That's a
I don't
good question. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be something we'd have to. I don't know. We'd
That
have-
would be time consuming. Very time consuming.
Who
Because it-
communicates with Kindle? If we were to
we could
ask the
check
question,
with-
Usually I do.
We could check with.
maybe ask the question and that's about as far as we can go.
We can, I think she made the point at the last meeting that she attended that Reverend is pretty overwhelmed with the work that she's doing with the Mangold.
Yeah.
I
for
thought that
free,
too.
essentially right now.
Yeah.
So, but I can certainly pass that on to her.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's important because it's the integrity of the piece. I mean, it would be important, I would think, to Bob and to Revan as well. You know, it's the integrity of the piece. So I don't know.
No, you're 100% right. I bet though that they're just going through a lot right
Yeah.
now.
Of course, I understand
Sure.
that.
it has to do with the quality of the paint, and that's frustrating because he put so much effort into the particular color itself.
Right.
It's probably, I would guess that the piece has probably been in storage and not in sunlight for a number of years. So that could have something to do with it
Yeah.
reacting to the sun.
That's
Yeah.
really unfortunate.
Yeah, and I could
Yeah.
tell you, there's a piece near Wazee somewhere downtown because I've passed it several times because my husband's office is near there, and it's super faded. I have a feeling it was installed a long time ago and
Yeah.
hasn't been. So there's no question that whatever paint he's using or whatever takes a beating from the sun. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's paints where that shouldn't happen with, so that's unfortunate that they did not know that.
yeah, or maybe things are powder coated these days. I don't know. Yeah,
Right.
But I think
A whole
also
different
he's
process.
very
whole
old
different process. Yeah.
and he's sick.
Well, we can have what, Kendall check with
Yeah,
what's
we
her
can
name?
inquire.
With
Yeah.
Reverend, yeah, I'll certainly pass that on to Kendall that the commission is requesting that information be given to Reverend.
Okay. I mean,
Wait,
I'm
wait.
sure she would probably want to know that it is, you know, that it is fading as well. So, okay. Anything more on that?
Nope.
All right. Next item is the Cherry Hills Village Art Commission goals.
Wait, can I ask a quick question as it pertains to the art on loan program in general? Are those pieces insured, or
Yeah.
is our art insured?
Yes.
Okay, and is there a special rider for the loan pieces, or is that included in our
I don't know the
policy?
Specifics, we just give the
The value.
thank you, value to our human resources analyst that deals with our insurance company, and they set it up. I'm not sure the details of it. I can
Okay.
get some information if you're interested.
Yeah, I would be, just sort of headlines. I don't need super detail, but that would be great.
You just want to know if it's a rider?
Yeah, and or like what, yes, if it's a rider and what it covers exactly.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So with the short-term goals,
Yeah, this just been on the agenda for a while, so wanted to see if anybody had any changes. Excuse me. And if not, if we could get it approved so it's not a draft anymore.
well, there's obviously a lot on there for sure. I think I think in one of our texts or emails, Pamela, you had mentioned like the annual fundraising event that we maybe, once we can meet again, to have a work session.
Yeah,
I think we have to somehow figure that out to where we get more support, that sort of thing, the ways of doing that.
Right.
So,
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I agree. I'm not sure we're ready to approve this just yet.
right.
Yeah,
Now,
And
no,
let
I
me
don't-
ask, is this available to the public once we approve it?
It's not posted on the website. It's more of an
Okay.
internal document for the commission. I mean, if someone requested it, it's a public document, but we don't.
Right. Because one of our long-term goals is this, advocating for a cultural center. And I don't want to freak anybody out given the response.
It's really just for the commission. So if that has changed, then we can certainly change that long-term goal. That was just something that I'm not sure how long ago it was that Kendall worked with the commission several years ago.
Yeah, I think it's been there for a long time.
I like the idea of keeping it there, though. I mean, there might be some odd barn or something that we could have available.
Right.
I mean, definitely the future, but I wouldn't like to let go of it entirely to see what possibilities could pop up. Something very informal and casual, but a place.
Okay, well, I can move it to the next agenda if that's what you guys want.
yeah, with the idea that a work session is formed around it.
Yeah.
And maybe we need one just on the goals themselves. I don't know. There's a lot on here for sure, but I don't do we want to go through these kind of individually now, or as you have them listed, like the snowplow painting program and that sort of thing?
Yeah, could we slash a few, like, maybe the poetry or something that's just too difficult to do right now?
Yeah, they're your
Yeah.
goals. So if you want to take stuff off, that's up to you.
I think, well, we are, Emery, we're trying to continue the snowplow this coming year, probably, right? Next year?
The schools are in.
Yeah,
Yeah, I love it.
okay. And definitely the trail walk, I think that was a success this year for sure. So we'll continue with that. And I guess the number 6, that's the big one, to build a stronger and larger group of art advocates and patrons. That's going to be, I think, major.
I agree.
Yep.
So we should keep that, and things are going to change here soon. They're going to maybe, reduce the mask mandate so we can start, kind of tackling these things.
Right. I agree. So I think, do we want to just put that kind of on the, well, I know we need to keep working on it, but put it on the back burner for just a little bit till we can all get together and discuss it more thoroughly?
Yes.
Yes, that's a good idea.
We need more time.
Yeah,
Okay,
okay. All right, so that the next one kind of leads into that too, is the fundraiser letter. I think wasn't our response this year was much less than last year, was it not?
Correct.
And I think Laura gave me some input that at least one person said they'd felt more comfortable donating to a specific piece. So I think this is kind of a message that it was fine when we didn't have the event and we had a COVID situation, because the response was very good to the previous year's one. But so long as we're able to have events, and unless a letter is pertaining to a specific piece, it was definitely not successful.
Well, that's good to know.
Yep,
Right,
live and learn.
And a
right.
little surprising, I have to say.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like really
Mm-hmm.
6 households, geez Louise.
I know.
Right, right. I mean, I think probably if we worked up our costs, we probably lost money on the letter.
Yeah, and I wonder if it's because people get the sense that they have to donate a lot of money, because I was really thinking that it might be just, you do your sort of year-end charitable donations, and sometimes it's just small amounts. If every
Yeah.
household donated $25, it would be, it would be something. So I don't know.
My high school does, and I guess a lot of organizations do this, but they have a day of giving, like one day. And, there's no incentive to donate on that day, but it is just sort of an organized effort to get everyone to just donate, a little bit or whatever on that day. Maybe something, we can brainstorm different ideas on how to, make it a little more interesting and a little more, focused. And to your point, donate $10, donate $25. It doesn't have to be $10,000.
Right. Or even 100, it's
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be like NPR, where you get a tote for this, you get a magnet for that.
I want a tote.
You
Right.
can, maybe moving forward, you can do what we do with the crier and put an envelope in there that has suggested donation amounts. And because our minimum is $25. The only problem with that is if you do suggested minimums, then most people will do the suggested minimums. So that's why with the crier, we put multiple denominations on the envelope just as a suggestion. So, but that could be something that the commission considers moving forward if you want to send out another letter.
That would be a good way to get it in a whole lot of hands easily.
Because then they'll understand that maybe it is only $25 versus 500 or 1,000 that you guys are looking for.
I think that's a good idea.
I do
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, I do too. And then too, like with Instagram, or if our social media comes online, have opportunities to to donate there as well. That kind of thing.
I'm not tech savvy, but what is this GoFundMe about?
Yeah.
that might be for a specific piece of art, but
Yeah. GoFundMe is when, people are in need of that idea is great. It's when people are in need of money, and then you can very easily donate, to a cause.
Yeah, I don't think that's appropriate for this.
No, but
No.
the idea of it is good. A very quick way to donate,
right. Especially in connection with, for example, the John Mead piece
Yep.
on
Right.
like our Instagram, say, oh, this is our next project,
Mhm.
Yes.
if you want to contribute to the specific piece. Every dollar is appreciated because that just enhances what we can do.
Could we maybe like pick like 3 pieces like that would be eligible for the Mead Park and then have like a community vote? I mean, we would vet it and pick our 3 favorites, but then what the community votes for is what ends up being in the permanent spot.
I like that.
Because
And
then
it
it kind of
involves
like
people.
generates everyone kind of weighing in and they feel like they're kind of, have some stake in it, some skin.
I like that ownership of it.
Yeah, we've obviously never done that before, but we could certainly, maybe try that for sure. Get
And again, you
community
can make,
involved.
And
to
I
make
mean, once we vet it, like if we in PTRC, we're really actually happy with those 3 choices, then presumably it wouldn't matter to us, like the public could pick which one.
right,
Right.
totally. And make it fun.
Uh-huh.
I'd feel better about a decision made that way for everybody.
It might be easier also to collect funds, that it would be a way to kind of be there where people would want to contribute. It's tangible.
Right.
Think of a fun thing to do before to get them excited about it.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Maybe we could try something like that. We think in terms of that way.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Generate some buzz. Woohoo.
Totally.
They will really know what their feelings are, when they vote for the conservative bronze piece.
Yeah, which is fine. I mean, we're pretty much committed to a representational piece for that park anyway. So honestly, if we were ever going to let the public vote, this would be the one to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
Oh,
Well, I mean, just because it's,
Okay.
yeah,
In
that
fact, we
will
do
have
have
broad
the-
appeal. Yeah.
We do have the John Mead sculpture under new business too, so we can maybe talk about it a little bit there. All right, the next item is the open studios. And where do we go from here? I still think it's a great idea, and I think possibly or probably again the best way would be to check with the artists that are currently on our list to see if they would be interested in participating in something like that.
I've spoken with Duke. He's interested. And he would do it.
Who was that?
Duke Beardsley would do it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's a
What
major
timeframe do
draw.
you think? What's the best time to do something like that?
Who knows these days?
I think
Yeah,
before
that's-
vacations, when people leave for the summer.
Yeah, I think spring or fall.
So is that a next fall thing?
We have our art show in the fall. I don't know, though, you're right, if we have enough time to get something together for the spring, or how formalized this is, or if we just have, half a dozen studios open and invite the public.
Yeah, this is going to take time to, I think, put this together and do it right, for sure.
Well, what about for next month's agenda that we, pass out the artists, then we contact them, see what, if we can get some participation, and then see if we could work it for late spring.
okay.
Because
We
we're
could
gonna
do
need
that.
to
Of course,
figure
we've
out our, our FaceTime with the community. We haven't really done anything in a while.
I mean,
got
my only,
the list of artists are included here, so in our packet. So, yeah, I think I don't know if who knows who to on this list. You know, I think that's the next thing we should do though, is see if there's any interest with the artists, obviously.
Yeah.
If there's no interest, then it's not worth pursuing.
Yeah, I know that I talked to Cora Sexton Wheeler when I added her to this list. And she seems to I think she has a studio at her house. So I could certainly reach out to her. We could reach out to Susan Cooper because she's had us over to her place before.
I don't mind going through the list. I'm more available now these days, so I could just, put feelers out even to this whole list.
Well, thank you. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Just to see,
Okay.
and then I would, just kind of have a Excel sheet running if they even have a studio where people could come in.
That'd be great.
That'd be great.
Okay,
Right.
I'll have that by the time we meet again.
Awesome.
Okay. That'd be great. Thank you.
Pam, I'll put it on my calendar.
Thank you. Okay, the next item is the Instagram account.
Oh.
And we kind of discussed that, Laura. You said that you really haven't had time to explore that option, so.
No, and I keep hearing that you guys really want this, so I'll definitely try to prioritize that coming up. Just so you know, it's not just the posting, it's also monitoring and saving for records. So there's some more background work that staff has to do on these accounts. But I'll definitely move that up in my priority list to try to figure out before the next meeting, since you guys really want that.
Thank you.
Great.
I think
Okay.
that'll be very helpful with the younger crew moving into Cherry Hills.
And also, like Della, you were mentioning to us, I don't know if it was last meeting or the meeting before, that there's actually other fun art events that occur that we could just be letting the community know about, like that art drop day, for example.
Yes.
That's fun, exciting. I never heard of that before.
Yeah. Certainly. Like great. And posting things going on at, the Denver Art Museum or, certain events. I know that's a lot of work, but
Meow wolf.
yeah,
Yeah, well, that's so cool. We loved it. Yeah.
We did too. And I feel like one of us needs to kind of work on the content. I don't think that, the city employees need to do this. It's really a big job.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you guys can send me what you want to get posted, that would be helpful.
So it's not an everyday kind of thing. It's
Every day wouldn't be feasible, sorry.
Yeah, no. So
Yeah, that's too much work for sure.
Mhm.
No.
Maybe just a couple times a month.
Yeah.
when something exciting comes up.
Yeah.
Reminders and yeah.
All right. Okay, I guess the next thing would be on the list is the new next art show. Have we probably, again, it's not fair to with what's going on, but have many people come in, Laura, to take a look, or
Just a couple.
just a couple? Yeah. Okay. So I don't know where we go here for the next art show. This is up until May.
Yep.
I think
So,
we talked about that we might want to focus on maybe a kids type of.
oh, true.
I think that's a great idea.
So that they
Yeah.
don't feel so
Yeah.
lost.
Yeah, I think that would be a great idea for sure.
Yeah,
Or
then
at
we
least-
get the schools involved.
Or at least have a kids category.
Yeah, I think a kids category, the schools have several competitions they're involved with, like we'd have to check more. So,
I mean, that's a great way to get the parents on board. Everyone loves to see their little kid stuff.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. I think that'd be a great idea. And I think it probably ought to be an all kids show. I mean, not water it down at all, just, and I think with the 3 schools in the village and work with them, I think that would be awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, I like that idea too, actually, because I think what we're really in a position to do right, or what we need to be doing is really bring in some younger supporters in the village. And so focusing on kids art show, I know that's very different from the adults art show, but as far as our sort of fundraising goals, it might be a really great way to bring our profile up with younger families.
What about if the theme is like, does your family celebrate spring? And then they could maybe draw a picture of gardening, or they could just draw a picture of riding their bike. So it's a way to, because we're, kind of getting close to spring, and it could be the spring break, they go to Mexico or something. So
I like that idea. I think we should open it up to a lot of different mediums, though.
Yeah.
right. I mean,
Yes.
they could do
All
collage, they could
mediums, I think
do,
all mediums.
charcoal drawing.
But spring just really is a big world that they could dive into.
We'd have to get that out there in a hurry, though. Spring's around the
Yeah,
corner.
when,
I don't know.
Well, so, the new art show wouldn't be hung until late this year.
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, we'd have to keep that in mind. Maybe it's a summer thing. But still, I think it's a good idea. And I know we needed some direction. I think that's great to have that direction. I think it's a good idea to have the children, for
And
sure.
then the other only point I would make is that we've talked about this before. If we have some consistency in the timing of our events, then people know that they're coming up. So that's the only thing that makes me think, oh, maybe we should just put the Duke's Beardsley paintings back for their period. And then in the fall again, have the show in the fall, and, have that work up for, I don't know, just a suggestion that we get on some kind of calendar.
I agree. I like that idea.
I agree too. No, it's a good idea.
Right. So
I love the theme idea though, too. We just
Right.
work the theme idea of, putting the kids in a direction, and then fitting it into our calendar in a way that makes sense going forward.
right. So it could be after spring break, before end of school. So, kids are a little more regimented. So if we did it before May, when they're released, then, like the art teachers could help them,
So
Yeah.
it wouldn't be hung until next spring? Is that what?
No,
No,
it'd be
it'd still
hung
be hung in the fall,
Oh,
like we did this year.
but just the call to artists would be sooner than later.
Like
oh,
still during
before
the school
school
year.
gets out this year. Gotcha. Okay.
Sarah,
Okay.
what was the timeline for you with the watercolor show? When did the call to artists go out?
Sarah had to leave, so she is not. on
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna look through our history and see if I can answer your question.
Okay.
And I agree, photography, sculpture, like whatever they want to do would be fun. Ceramics, I don't know.
right. Because then we could have a category for each winner, so that we'd have a lot of winners, like the photography category, the multimedia category, so that
Right.
we have a lot of winners.
I
Yeah,
would just say, as far as sculpture or ceramics, we don't have a lot of counter space or anything to.
no, but we could set out a table, couldn't we? Or is that not allowed to keep a table out?
Sorry?
Could we just display them on a table with a tablecloth?
Just for the show.
Just for the show.
Yeah.
Oh, just, okay, sure, yep, absolutely.
And
Just
I don't
not,
think they're
just
gonna
not
want to
that
keep it up
it
that
stays.
long, because they'll want to get their stuff back.
Yeah, that's true. It might not be hung so long because kids do like to get their prize and their work. So we'll have to think
Okay,
about that a
so
little
just hung
more.
for the show.
Maybe just the winners get to keep their pieces up for longer or something.
Jessica, I found the call for entries in the crier if you want.
I did too. I was just
Okay.
waiting for them to finish their conversation. So it looks like we put it out in the the May issue. And the deadline for submittal was August 16th. And then the show itself was in November.
And I think we extended the deadline to get the work in.
We did a
So-
little closer to November. That was the original one. So our
Yeah.
original timeline was May, and then with the thought that we would get the submittals by August.
So maybe we move that back, so we do the call for artists right after spring break, so they have enough time in school to,
Yeah, and submittal like through October or something. Or,
yeah.
Okay.
All right. I'm unfortunately on a bit of a time deadline too, so I only have another 5 or 10 minutes.
Okay, well, we're working our way through, so let's move on. Next art show. That's it on the, okay, so new business. I guess the consultant project with Kindle.
And this item is, since we're doing project basis for Kendall, obviously John Mays Park is a big project that we want her help on. And I was just looking to see if there were any other projects that you all wanted to get on her radar now. If there's anything else going on that you wanted her help with this year. You don't have to decide now. If you guys decide later in the year that you want to help with something, that's fine. I just, if there was anything I wasn't thinking of that you guys know of now, I wanted to ask.
We had talked about that she was going to schedule for the crew series to be buffed and refurbished. So I want to make sure that she's scheduled that.
Okay, I'll double check with her on that.
and also, we're planning on shooting having the collection shot. I don't know if she wants involvement in that or just, that I'm not seeing why that would be necessary, but
You want me to ask her if she?
yeah,
Okay.
maybe. I mean, I don't see why that she would need to be involved, but maybe she wants to be.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
Or in the spring, rather, sorry. We're shooting that in the spring.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay,
So-
sorry, go ahead, Dave.
well, the next thing under, and I see we have Emily, so I think the John Mead Park sculpture, I think in what we were just talking about in terms, and we still have to have it approved by Parks and Trails, will we need to pick 3 pieces to choose from? But all 3 of those would have to be okayed by Parks and Trails. You'd hate to go through the process and have the
Yeah.
one. picked
Yeah,
and
no,
then
they
have
want
Parks
to
and
be,
Trails.
yeah. They want to be involved earlier, so definitely.
Okay. All right, and that makes sense. All right, and then the annual event, I think will,
All right, could we just go back to the John Mead Park
oh, yeah,
project brief? So what I have on the screen here now is what I'll give Kendall to get a proposed budget from her to get this kind of official with the new contract format that we have. And does anyone have any edits to this before I send it to her?
I guess if we're doing the choose the 3 thing, that would have to be maybe incorporated in there somewhere. That would have to be, appeal to the community, maybe added in there.
Right, like please note that this doesn't guarantee your sculpture will be installed.
Yeah, when
Well,
she communicates with the artists or something. I don't know. Maybe we just need to tell her what we're thinking about.
Yeah.
right.
And maybe he'll get her thoughts on this, kind of voting thing that we hatched up.
Yeah.
She might say it's terrible.
Yeah.
True.
Okay, I'll add something about that. in the roles and deliverables and get that over to her.
And if we have ideas ourselves, do we submit that? How do we handle that? We give this to Kendall or?
If you want to send them to me, I have kind of a running list going over the
Oh,
last couple of years that this has been discussed, so
Okay,
I can add that.
okay.
All right. Anything more on the John Mead Park stuff?
Thank you.
I guess the annual event, I think we've talked about, and I think we definitely need a work section for that. And try to figure out how we can make that more beneficial to the commission for sure. So I think, anybody have anything else? Any other reports?
Actually, one question for Laura about, about the working group session. Laura, what's the date again of our next meeting? I know it's in here somewhere. I just don't remember what it was.
I have it.
28th, February 28th.
Yep, February 28th. And I know that Shenley, you were saying that work sessions on the same day as meetings weren't good for you. Is that still the case?
Now I can do it. I've changed my work life.
Yeah, so maybe we should try and just attach the work session to that meeting.
Okay, just directly after the meeting like we did last time.
What does everyone think about that?
Yep, that works for me.
Fine with me, yeah.
Yes.
I think it's easier since we're all together, and so I think that'd work well.
Yeah.
Okay.
And do you want it both about the annual event and the goals, or do you want to focus on one or the other?
Do we want to put it where? I'm sorry.
You guys were talking about doing a work session separately for the goals, the short-term, long-term.
Oh, for the goal.
As well as the annual event. I just wanted to know if you wanted to just kind of smush that all together into one work session or have those separately.
We could try it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could try.
We can just advertise the whole thing. You guys can talk about what you get around to. That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Okay, I think, does anybody have anything else?
Dave, we have a staff report if we have time before we end the meeting.
Oh, just a verbal report.
Yeah, we have a verbal report to let the commission know. I've given my notice with the city, so I am resigning my position in May. We're actually moving out of state. So with that, because I do a lot of different things aside from finance for the city, we're going to be shuffling some job duties around, which is why Emily's in this meeting today. Laura's going to take over the crier, so she's no longer going to be working with the art commission. And then Emily and Pamela will be taking over for the art commission. So this will be more towards April that this happens. So you'll still see Laura and I, but the three of us will probably, Emily, Laura, and I will probably be coordinating up until then. But I wanted to give you guys as much notice as possible so you're aware of the change.
Well, good luck to you.
I
Oh,
know.
Jessica. Oh my goodness, where are you
Appreciate
moving?
that. Yeah.
My son's going to college in Iowa and we have family out there. So my husband and I decided that we're going to pack up the family and follow him to Iowa. He's not going to get rid of us that easy.
Oh, well, congratulations.
Right
Yeah,
on,
thank
that's
you.
great.
Yeah, congratulations.
We'll miss you.
Miss
Oh,
you.
that's sweet.
Definitely will miss you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Laura too.
Wow.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I'll be around for a few more months. I'll bother you for a few more months. So you'll still see me for a little bit.
Oh, good.
And you,
That's
you
awesome.
too, Laura. Will you?
How does anything happen without you, Laura?
That's an issue.
Well,
Will Pamela, and I know Emily's on the call, will Pamela be able to also come on to one of these meetings before you guys,
Yeah.
before you move and Laura moves to the crier, and
Mhm.
so they can just kind of see all that you do for us?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. We'll be doing some training and I'll try to get them up to speed and I'll still be here. So
Yeah,
we'll try to make the transition seamless.
Great.
wonderful.
Lots of changes.
Yeah, wow.
Okay, anything else by anyone?
Thank you.
No. If not, okay, there being no further business, the meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
all.
you. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks, everyone.
And we'll hopefully see everyone in person next time.
Right,
Yes.
forward to it.